Good day to you all. So I am back with a brand new review, and please excuse the rather baggy, sacky attire. It is absolutely freezing in my flat, and in general it is below zero now, and it's boyfriend jumper weather, isn't it, when it gets like that. I did put a little bit of makeup on because I got told by a gentleman today that apparently I'm not very girly, and it's a negative thing. So I thought, oh, alright, I'll put a bit of lip gloss on then. I've broken to the peer pressure. But anyway, yeah, so moving on to music. So today I bring to you a rather dashing set of men from Norway. The band is called Beaten to Death. Now, it's not my normal cup of tea, however, their debut album sucked me in. It was amazing. So this is the second album, this is the follow-up to the debut. So the new album, Dodsfest, is out now, and it follows up to 2011's X's and Strokes, and I'm sure I don't need to say it was an incredibly powerful debut. One thing that really stood out on this album, was the involvement from the debut album. The first album, X's and Strokes, it was really kind of crazy, aggressive, really raw anger was evident there. But this album, there's a lot more melody, and it gives a totally different tone. And I think in a live setting, it's really going to complement the tracks from the first album and the new one. I think they'll sound really good together. So you know, I would love to see this band come to the UK. I think it'd be absolutely fantastic. You're not that far away, so I think you can get your bums over. But anyway, so the grind element is still there and it is still evident, but they've just kind of lessened that aggression and the crazy nuttiness from X's and Strokes. So it has been slowed down a lot, but it's not sort of. There's still a lot of movement there, you know, there's not any kind of breaks or silences in between the tracks, so that kind of flow and that movement, that is still constant, and that's what keeps the album progressing forward, which is good. And so, although, you know, I think it has lost a certain amount of power that the first one had with the aggression, there's something else that's been injected into its place, and although I haven't been able to pinpoint it, if you can, leave a comment, but a nice one, and then we can discuss, can't we? So, anyway, there's a lot more breakdowns on this album, and they've nestled them perfectly. So they are, you know, they really complement the melodic parts, so it's not too much of one thing, which I think maybe the first album could have been a bit guilty of. You know, this is really just a comparison between the two, because to be honest, I love this album. I had to give it 2 listens because I think I was expecting it to be like X's and Strokes, but I fell in love with that album when I first heard it, and now I've given this a second listen. More than a second listen now, since I wrote this review. It's been sitting for quite a while on my to-do list, but yeah, so it's just growing on me more and more. And you know, like I say, so you know, there's still a lot of breakdowns. You still got that raw sort of anger still hiding, creeping in, and you know, like I say, they fit in very nicely. Each track has a more obvious structure, so I feel this album is going to be a lot more appealing to certainly a wider audience. So whether, you know, the die-hard grindcore fans who like to keep their bands very close to their chest, and we do not share our music, you know, they might be a little unhappy, but I do think they will certainly appeal to a wider audience because, you know, there is that structure, and I think people do struggle with certainly the grindcore death metal genre. I think they struggle with it, you know, because of the complexity and the noise that is found within. So in that sense, I would take that as a positive. You know, so we'll see how it goes down. But you know, like I said at the beginning, there's a definite involvement. You know, there's more of a kind of modern feel, even in production as well, I think, if that makes sense to people. So to try and sum up in a few words, I will try and keep it brief because we all know I do like to have a bit of a ramble. You know, it's good to see that the band have chosen to evolve rather than do something completely new. You can still tell it's beaten to death. There is still that element there. They are building their sound, which is awesome, you know, and I think for a second album to be as strong as the first, they've done exceptionally well, because I think it goes without saying, but that second follow-up album is always quite difficult to do, you know, because it's, especially with such a powerful debut as X's and Strokes was. So I think they've done really well to kind of move on from it, rather than try to replicate it or do something completely new and completely throw everyone off. So, you know, well done. I think that, you know, that is a really good thing that needs to be mentioned. You know, they've captured their original sound, but then taken it somewhere else. So, you know, although I am a girl who likes my anger and I like my brutality, I have to say I do prefer X's and Strokes. However, I still think this is a really good, strong album, and I definitely think it's going to appeal, like I said earlier, to a wider audience. So I'm talking if you like, maybe even Between the Buried and Me, perhaps, Periphery, Devil Wears Prada. They're just really random bands off the top of my head. So, you know, if they're your bag, I definitely think you should check it out. Hopefully you've been lured in with the little excerpts that I have put in there. But definitely, I do strongly recommend this album. I'm yet to do a band review, which is good. So yeah, so definitely check this band out. Another one for the list. This is Beaten to Death with Dodsfest, and it is out right now, so get it.